Join us for an interesting conversation with badass trial attorney and excellent legal writer, Monique Foley. Monique is going to talk about her trials and tribulations from childhood acting career to law. Let's see what Monique has to say.
The Elven Star Podcast. And now, your host, Kevin Ferry.
Hi, I'm Kevin Ferry. Welcome to the Elven Star Podcast. Today's special guest is Monique Foley, trial attorney extraordinaire with Ferry Law. Monique, welcome.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for having me today.
Monique has been here forever.
Yes.
She just celebrated 25.
Close. Not quite.
All right.
Almost.
I always
almost.
try to stay a couple years
Yes.
ahead just so I don't underguess.
Yes.
But I have to say, first of all, thank you for being the only, not the only, but the most loyal of all and hardworking, dedicated members of Fairy Law. I really appreciate it. And the one thing that you do with grace is you're super professional all the time.
Mm.
I've never seen you lose your cool in front of a judge or anyone else.
Yes.
Occasionally alone, but that's cool. But you've always sort of been the yin to my yang. When I was a madman when I was younger, and I was just hacking down forest, and it didn't matter who the forest was, you would always kind of keep me cool. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So you're on the camera here, and I know that you started early on in life as a child actress. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes. So I have an identical twin sister, and she and I were on a soap opera called All My Children that's now off. But the unique thing about my sister and I, well, number one, I grew up in New Jersey, and so we were close to the city. So my mom would bring us in every day to the set. But at that time, back late 70s, early 80s, you couldn't have children underneath the lights for a long extended period of time. So with the twins, they could switch us out. So they'd have one under the lights for about 30 minutes, and then they'd put my sister in or vice versa for the remainder of the time. So we did that for, I think, a couple of years or so. The tapes are still looming somewhere. I watched them once, but I haven't gone back yet to see. And then we also did some commercials for Pampers. We did some print ads as well, too. But then once we got to kind of school age, my father put the kibosh and said, nope, I'm not going to have them be actors. I want them to go to school and have a normal, regular life. I think my mom would have kept us going, but my dad said no.
Yeah. So if it weren't for your dad, you guys could have been the Olsen twins.
Right, yes. We have on occasion reminded him of that, yes.
Yeah, but I'm not so sure how happy they are. I mean, I understand they're billionaires, but they don't seem to have had the most joyful life,
Right,
right?
exactly. I think that's what my father wanted to protect us
Yeah.
from,
Yeah.
yes.
And if you had gone that path, you would have never met me.
Right, exactly.
I mean, come on.
And honestly, when I think about law, I think that was part of my attraction to law is because, in a sense, you are on a stage. You are performing. You're performing for your clients. And, of course, in a different context, but it's still a similar concept.
Yeah, that's awesome. So your mom and dad, are they still with us or no longer?
No, unfortunately, my dad passed about 7 years ago from cancer, and then my mom a few years ago from liver damage herself, unfortunately. So no,
Okay. All right.
but my twin is still in the area. We both moved up to Connecticut to go to school, and we're still close. And then I have an older sister that's still in New Jersey and a brother that's in Florida.
All right, cool. So, one of the questions that we ask at jury selection, I'm going to ask you right now. Other than truthfulness or honesty, what are the most important qualities that your parents instilled in you that you'd like to pass on to your child, who we'll talk about later?
Yes. I would say knowing yourself, being true to yourself. So it does segue on what you said. That really is something they instilled. My father was very, very big on education and being able to provide for ourselves. I think especially as women, and I've seen that throughout practicing now too, being able to stand out. Who he said, be be the best at whatever you do. Be whatever you want it to be. You can be a garbage man for all I care, as long as you're the best at it. Honor your job, be true to your job, go to your job every day with the mindset that this is not work. This is your passion. This is what fulfills me, and just be the best that you possibly can be. And I've tried to always remember that and follow a lot of that throughout my life.
Yeah, those are great words of wisdom. So those were dad's words. How about for mom?
Yes. She was similar, very similar mindset too. My mom was just she always wanted us to follow our dreams because I had thought about acting for a while, and my mom said, "No, do it, pursue it. You're not going to starve. You'll be okay." But my father was more education based and wanted us more grounded in something that he felt would be secure. So, but like I said, I love the law for the reason I feel like I can blend both of those aspects, both the acting as well as being able to practice and advocate for clients too.
Yeah,
So
that's sweet. So, and the question was about passing this on to your children, and you have a daughter,
yes,
and she's now
she's
16,
going on 25.
right?
Yes, driving me crazy. Well, no, she's a good girl. I have to say. Yes, she's 16. She just started driving in the past few months. Had her first fender bender this past weekend. So she's starting to kind of learn and figure out her ways. She's also going to be applying for a job this week, so in part to help pay for that fender bender. But but she's a good girl. She has a boyfriend, and she's thinking about college now. So that's been one thing, but I've also talked to her about her future because unlike law, she wants to do, I'm not going to say the opposite, but she wants medical. She wants nursing or something like that. Originally, she said to be a doctor, she wanted to be an OB. She wanted to deliver babies. And she said, "Oh, maybe I'll just become a nurse instead." And I said, "Look, Sarah, Sarah is her name. I should have said that. Either profession will be rewarding, but don't not become a doctor just because it's more difficult or it's more schooling. Do what's going to drive you, what's gonna give you that passion." And then even talking about her grandfather, my father, and some of his words, and say, "You can do it, and I'll be there to support you, but have that drive because you only get one shot at this in life, and I don't want you to have any regrets, down the road that you didn't do something that you and I both know you can do."
Yeah, I think too many people don't pursue things because they're just afraid they're not good enough.
Right.
Yeah. So I was lucky I had a brother-in-law that made law school sound easy, and I
Mm,
never even thought of it. I never thought I was, like, capable of it, right?
mm,
And then I had this brother-in-law, Angelo Rocco, who was a trial
mhm,
attorney in Arizona, and he just said, "Go to law school."
mm,
And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, just stay focused. You can do it.
mm,
Stay focused." So those were the only words I actually remembered through the whole time when I was in law school, just like, "Stay focused."
right.
It's pretty cool. So
That's
what
true.
what interested you in getting into the law?
Well, my parents told me that I started from the age of 5. They said, "You're always a good arguer, Monique. You argue every single point. No, I don't want broccoli. I should be able to have what potatoes or whatever with dinner." So they said I started very young with that. My twin sister actually was gonna do law, so we were gonna do that together. So that was tough because we kinda started off on that trajectory together, where we were both gonna do law, and being twins and doing everything together, it kinda make the path a little bit easier because we both left New Jersey together. We went to Yukon together, lived together. We didn't even live on campus, we lived off campus and kind of had our whole lives together, and that was the plan. And then things changed for my sister, and she decided to go into marketing. And there was a bit of hesitation for me to say, "Oh gosh, can now I'm gonna be doing this alone. Can I still do this?" But to your point, Kevin, I remember my father's words, and don't let anything steer you from that. If that's what you wanna do, keep doing it, and, so I kept on and then went to both of our alma maters, Quinnipiac Law, and met some great people there and couldn't be happier that I stayed with it.
So even before you went to college, you knew you were gonna pursue law?
I did, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, truly, I think from about the age of 5 or so and never deviated.
That's pretty
Yes.
cool. I didn't figure it out until last semester of college. I had a business law class, and I for the
Mhm.
first time in my life, got the highest grade in the class, and Professor Tucker, who's a sweet little guy from Harvard, He said, every year there's a couple students in my class that decide to go to law school.
Mm,
I was like, ooh, okay, I guess that was me. It was
yeah,
neat.
yeah.
All right. So,
But that makes a big difference too, because I think that also helped in college. So once Nicole and I kind of figured out we were going different directions, I had a really good advisor that said to, what's your major? And he said, don't do political science. Everybody does political science. You don't have to do political science to go in law. Find something that you're going to be good in, that you're going to excel in, kind of almost echoing the words of my father, too. And he said, even communications. And we both had a really great communications professor. We talked to him, and he said, stick with that. You can still go into law with that. And you need to be, of course, a good communicator and an effective one to pursue law. So
man, I
stick with
wish I
those.
had these words of wisdom because I didn't
Mm,
hear that.
yeah,
I went into accounting.
right.
I was neither interested or good at.
Yes, same here. Math, definitely not my forte.
Yeah, it was tough for me. Like debits and credits, no good.
Right.
So, that's why I really liked the business law class because with accounting, everything had to add up exactly.
Mhm.
And when I got into business law, I realized that nothing adds up. It's all
Yes.
shades of gray. You can make up your own questions and answers. And I was like, ooh, I like this.
Right, much like the law, having kind of
It's
crafting arguments.
it's more artistic to me
Yes.
because you can look at a statute, as you know,
Mhm,
or a case that everyone has looked at the same way for years
mhm.
and just say, wait a minute, this isn't right.
Yes.
And then one person has a different twist on it. And all of a sudden, if a judge listens to that and adheres to it or
Mm,
buys into it,
mhm. Right.
can change everything,
Yes.
right? And we've
Yes.
seen that happen,
Right, exactly. I was just thinking of
right?
the appeal that we just handled and won,
Yeah,
which I had so many attorneys come to me and say, "Wow, that issue has been around for forever. We didn't think anybody could get past that. The judges have just had one viewpoint." But you're right. I think the arguments that you crafted before the appellate argument were compelling enough to get them to see a different way and a different mindset. I think that bench was the right bench to have it before.
yeah, yeah. So you're talking about the Boaza case?
Yes.
Yeah. So we handled a case involving a claim against an insurance company for acting in bad faith by not considering their own insured's interest in at least as a high, if not higher, regard as their own, which is required under the law when you're providing it's called first party benefits to your insured. And this really kooky case called Dorfman that the appellate court came out and essentially said that lawyers can lie, cheat, and steal as long as they lie, cheat, and steal and communicate it to the other side. So not like the other side knows that you're cheating,
Right.
but as long as you communicate to it, that's protected under this what's called the litigation privilege. Gets a little confusing and complicated, and there's definitely not enough time in this podcast to talk about it.
Mm,
But man, it's a crazy law.
right,
And in front of the appellate court, I got up and argued, and I said, Judge, this case endorses lawyers being unethical.
right.
It gives them the right to lie, cheat, and steal, and I'd like to do everything I can to change that.
Yes.
So, and the appellate judges said, well, that is I think a Supreme Court
Yeah,
case actually, right? Dorfman,
correct.
Connecticut Supreme Court case. And I said, well, it's got to change.
Yes.
They had a bad day or whatever. They didn't get it right, in my
Right.
opinion. So,
Yes. And thankfully, the appellate court agreed with us. And there were so many naysayers that said, you're never going to get past this. It's Dorfman. And I was hesitant, even drafting the brief. I said, we're going with the appellate court, which is under what is the Supreme Court. So we have a higher court demanding or authorizing one thing, mandating something. And then we're going to a lower court asking them to undermine what the higher court has done. And so I knew it was going to be an uphill battle, but it worked.
yeah,
It
our,
worked.
our
So,
foot is in the door.
yes.
All right. So you went to Quinnipiac Law,
Yeah.
and as did I. But when I went, it was the University of Bridgeport, and it's sold off or got
Mhm.
bought up by Quinnipiac. And what was that experience like for you?
It was great. It was great. I hesitated because I went to UConn for undergrad, and so I thought about going on to UConn Law. But then Quinnipiac was also one of the schools was an option for me. I fortunately received some scholarship money there, which I admittedly will say played a big role because you can imagine the expense of law school. So, and for law, my parents provided undergrad for me, but I was on my own for law school. So, realizing the loans I was going to be facing, that weighed in, but it ended up being a great choice. I mean, what my tort professor, now practicing tort law, clerked for Sandra Day O'Connor. Um, Similar professors we had like Margulies and so many great ones there. Professor Marsh, that I don't know if they're still there for sure, but been tenured and working there a long time. Just excellent, excellent education. So
Yeah, I can't say enough. I thought that the education I got at Quinnipiac was amazing.
yes,
Unlike maybe some of the other law schools that may have, more prominent names,
right,
I think you get out of that program having a real understanding of what you need to do day in and day out to
yes.
actually become a successful attorney.
Right. Smaller classes, intimate. I mean, any of those professors, and I saw that firsthand, go knock on their door and they would have a conversation with you. They were really vested in the students there. And one of my friends, like I said, if I didn't end up there, wouldn't have met you because she and I stayed friends. And then she was the one at a hearing with you where you said, "Hey, do you know anybody looking for someone?" My girlfriend Jessica, that is. And she said, "Yes, actually, I have a girlfriend, Monique." And then you and I connected, had lunch, and
Well, she's smaller than you are,
yes.
and at the time, I was in a very, very tiny office, so I figured if I asked her, she'd have small friends, and it just fit, it worked.
Yes, yes. That reminds me of a story. It was a case that you were trying in Hartford Superior Court. It was, God, a sad case, a kid at UConn that had been struck and injured really, really badly.
Yeah, I remember it.
Yes, and we had to, go after not just the driver, but the, owner, which was his mom at the time too. I think she was professor, so at school, and it was just kind of it was a dog fight of a case, and I remember it was one day you were in court, I think it was a PJR hearing, we were trying to figure out assets and
What's
things
a
like that.
PJR for the listening
Oh,
audience, Mom?
sorry, prejudgment remedy is the formal name for it, but it's an opportunity where there isn't enough insurance coverage to cover or compensate the client. You have to look into the assets of the tortfeasor, the person who caused the harm, to see if there's assets above the policy that they own that you can possibly attach. Could be wages, it could be bank accounts, it could be real estate. And in this case, the insurance coverage that they had just wasn't enough, nearly enough to compensate our, 17, 18-year-old client at the time. So we had to go to this hearing to try and ascertain whether assets were available, because it was going to be lifelong or certainly decades worth of treatment and care that he was going to need, not to mention the emotional anguish, everything else. So you had that hearing. I think I remember being back at the office. We were in Hartford at the time too. Oh, we should talk about that. But anyway, you called me because there was a trooper that you were trying, the trooper who had responded to the scene that you were trying to get there. And I remember just working and you said you needed this testimony because liability, none of the cause of the accident was somewhat in dispute. And you needed that trooper there, you needed him there. And I remember making phone calls, reaching out to resources, and within an hour, I called you because the defense counsel was saying, "Oh, good luck, you're never gonna get him, you needed him there," and like, "Oh, it's not gonna happen, this is a trooper, he's probably out on the road," and I called you within an hour, and I said, "Kevin, he'll be there in 45 minutes," and you remember you saying to me, talking about the small part, you're like, "Oh, you are worth your weight in gold, Mo. Thank God you're so small."
Uh,
So it's not that much.
yeah. Yeah, I remember that case. I remember
Yes.
that. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was awesome.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and I remember the judge asking, "Why do you think this kid needs so much money?
Mhm.
He's made a pretty good recovery after all
Mm.
these surgeries." He was left for dead lying on the road after being hit by a car that just left him there,
Right.
and his foot was pointed the wrong way, had surgery on his knee. But I said, "Judge," I said, "all the king's horses, all the king's men can put
Mhm.
Humpty Dumpty back together again, but it'll never be the same. He's
Yes.
always gonna be cracked."
Right.
So,
That was a
but,
great analogy.
yeah, good teamwork. So I remember
Yes.
that now. That was awesome.
Yes. So, yeah, we started in Hartford. We're on Farmington Ave there for I forget how many years. It was probably close to about 10 years or so. Yeah,
That
about
sounds
10.
about right.
Yeah, about 10 years or so, and then made the move to New Britain. All it took was a walk in the park. You, Kevin, you saw the, office across the street. Went in, I think, and within, 6 months or so, we were
Well, the
Apologize.
Hartford office,
Mm,
there was a lot of drug activity going on. We were right down the road from the Mark Twain house. You'd think that they'd want to keep that area a little bit nicer because of all the tourism that was in the area, but
yeah.
not so much. So I would call and say, "Hey, there's all these hand-to-hand drug transactions going on right beneath my window here."
Mhm.
And the Hartford police at that time would say, "Yeah, well, narcotics is off on Mondays."
Mhm.
It'd be a Monday if I called, whatever. And I said, "Oh," I said, "apparently all the drug dealers know that.
Right.
So it's a free-for-all on Mondays."
Right.
But
Yes.
strange.
Yeah.
But yeah, so New Britain's been great.
Yes. Yeah.
Other than the battle I'm gonna have with them over my taxes that they want to raise.
Yeah.
So, I'm coming, New Britain, for that, but we'll fight nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been great. I like it here a lot.
Yes, agree, yeah. I'm starting to take advantage of the park, taking walks, at least 2, 3 times a week. I was just saying that to a girlfriend whose grandmother grew up right on the street, right along, Lexington, and, said, "It's right across the street," and I still remember the story where another girl and I were pregnant at the same time in the office, and you offered us $100 if one of us would take a walk. Whoever took well, I think it was whoever took the most walks in the park while we were pregnant, forcing us to get out, get some exercise, get going, get moving, and the end of the month came, and neither of us had taken one single walk. So I was like, "Alright, keep my $100. Thanks very much."
I've had a
That's
couple of those
that's
failures. My
yeah,
motivational techniques
yeah,
sometimes have not
yeah, yeah.
always panned out, but
Yes,
that's the way it goes.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
so, you also in law school, if you wanna talk about did you have, like, a sort of a sub major or a minor or something like that, or was that
Yes, yes, it was health law.
Yeah.
Health law was a concentration I had in law school. I actually worked to get enough credits, to get a health law certificate, so that was, I would say, kinda my minor, and then following law school, before I, connected with you, Kevin, I worked for an elder law firm concentrating in kinda health law. There's a lot of Medicare, it actually was a separate Medicare, Medicaid department that they had, and then I worked to develop a scholarship program for a couple of the students there. But he mainly focused on health law. And I liked it, except I said there was no courtroom experience with it. And I knew I wanted to litigate. I knew I wanted to be in a courtroom and have trials and get that experience. So when Jessica from law school told me about meeting up with you at a hearing and that you were looking for someone, I said, "Yeah, this is it." I also had a brief stint with the public defender's office too in Manchester. I like that. I like that role a lot as well too. I interned there through probation as well as state's attorney's office for a little bit, and I like that. But I knew I didn't want to do criminal solely. So when I found your practice, it
Uh,
kind of provided me the opportunity.
but as a public defender, you're in court every day.
Yes.
That's the one thing about that.
Right. Correct.
Granted, it may only
Yes.
be for a few minutes in the morning.
Right, right.
If
Yes.
anyone knows criminal courts, at least in Connecticut,
Mm,
their day in terms of being in court is usually done pretty early,
correct. Right.
unless you're on
Yes.
trial,
Right.
but that's pretty rare.
Yes,
Si
yes.
and it's
Right.
pretty rare in civil cases too.
Yes.
And it's actually becoming rare for attorneys that are leaving law school to wanna try cases
Mm,
because, from what I understand, even
mm,
Quinnipiac really promotes alternate dispute resolution.
yeah.
And they almost, it's almost as if litigation, actual trial work, jury trial work has
Mm,
sort of become almost a sullied word or a dirty word,
right.
which I think is a shame.
Yes.
Because to me, especially after COVID, with
Mm,
all the excesses in my humble opinion of our government and the fact that our Constitution was suspended
mhm,
essentially for just about everything,
right.
right of assembly, right to worship, the court rooms were closed, so you didn't have your right to a jury trial. And it was like nobody had due process.
Right.
It was just somebody waved a magic wand on high and said, "Oh, this is important enough where everything's over." That should hopefully never happen again.
Yes.
But the fact that it did, to me, reinforced how important the jury system is. And with corporations seemingly, in my opinion, taking more and more from us and providing less and less,
Mhm.
the jury system is even more important. It just becomes magnified by factors of infinity. I mean, if we don't have a jury system, we're toast.
Yes.
So And people don't realize that we do have the best system in the world, at least as far as that goes. And of course, when you have an open court system, you're going to have some problems.
Right.
You're going to have the occasional bad case. But, you see if you agree with me. Frivolous lawsuits and all this stuff that we hear about people faking,
Mm.
how much of that is there really?
Exactly. I think pretty much non-existent. Those get vetted out very, very early on. I actually can't think of any that's actually made it to a trial or to even a verdict. Fortunately, the judges that we have are very good at that. And we have good, skilled trial attorneys that the ones that are actually willing to go to trial, to your point, aren't taking those cases and bringing them to trial. And I know we're adamant about that. We're not going to be that type of law firm that takes on those cases and not investing in it and doing that.
Yeah.
It doesn't benefit the client either, too.
Yeah. I just think it's over promoted by the people
Mm.
that don't like being sued,
Right.
which again, who would that be? That would be the
Insurance
people
company.
that have all the money,
Mhm.
that are causing the most harm,
Right.
either knowingly or maybe not knowingly right away, but over time.
Mhm.
And then they want to just keep on selling cigarettes
Right.
when they knew that cigarettes killed people,
Yeah.
or selling whatever, fill in the blank
Mhm.
for the product. And they're the ones that are promoting the idea that, lawsuits are bad.
Mm.
Lawsuits, folks, are the best thing going for this country in terms of keeping a level playing field
Mhm.
between the haves and the have-nots. Period. The end. There's been no system that's
Mm.
ever come across the planet of the earth that I can see that's been better than
Agreed.
ours.
Agreed. And it's what really promotes change too. Without the lawsuits and without having some precedent on issues, whether it's a motor vehicle accident, a fall, it helps to get safety policies, procedures in place a lot of times too. So when you're bringing a lawsuit, it isn't necessarily just about that one person or that one case. It's a much bigger picture to help set standards and say, well, look, now we can look at the Smith case or the Jones case to say, in this case, the court decided this, and the jury found that, to help promote that change that we do need in our society and keeping things safe and protecting us.
Right. I mean, we're always trying to look at the big picture.
Mhm.
Once you get to trial, though, it does get a little more challenging because the
Mhm.
court is like, listen, this is about the facts of the case.
Correct.
So we do our best to widen the playing field without being constrained by the court. But it is true that it has to be limited to the facts of the case, but
Right.
there's spillover. There's always spillover from that fact into a larger whole,
Right.
to an industry standard or whatever it might be.
Exactly. Waza being a perfect example. With we didn't pursue that because we could have possibly just resolved it outside of the case and not brought the appeal. But now that we did, now there's some good precedent before us to help hopefully other people facing the same issue
Yeah.
to to fight
Yeah.
against
So,
it.
I mean, to the person that listens to the facts of this Boaza case, they probably are like, wow, that's really crummy how that works. But I'll just tell you. So, this is a case where a woman got hurt in a car accident. She recovered the $20,000 policy from the person that caused the accident because those were the minimum limits at that time. It's since been increased to 25,000, which in my humble opinion is still about 10 times too low. I think the minimum policy should probably be 250,000,
Right.
but here we are in the so-called insurance capital of the world, although I don't think we are anymore,
Mhm.
with these really low limits. However, she recovers that, and then she gets to make a claim because her injuries definitely were not satisfied or it wasn't enough, 20,000 wasn't enough to compensate her, to make a claim against Geico, her own insurance company. And Geico essentially offered her nothing. At one point, I think they offered her $11,000 after years of litigation. And so 4 years in, because it was a COVID delayed case, 4 years in on the second day of jury selection, Geico said, "Oh, we're finally gonna give you all of the policy that's remaining," which was 79,000. And, I can't say exactly what my words were to that attorney, but I said, "No, thank you," more colorfully than that, and we tried the case, and we ended up getting a $2.23 million verdict for this woman, and as soon as the smoke cleared and the jury left, within a week or so, the judge reduces the jury verdict down to 79,000 because that was the insurance contract. So the fact of the matter is Geico held on to the money for 4 years because they knew the worst they could do was to pay 79,000. They actually had to pay us interest. They paid us over 100,000 with interest and cost and things that were available under the statute, but that kinda stinks,
Mhm.
and the reason why it stinks is they should have known, and I believe they did know way back, like, maybe within months after we brought that claim, that the case was worth way more than $79,000, and they held on to their money. They tried to starve out this woman, forcing her to accept a lowball offer when the law says the insurance carrier owes their insured a duty of good faith and fair dealing, and they didn't do that. So that's why we went up to the appellate court to hold on to the ability to sue Geico directly for bad faith, and we are going to have a trial in that case unless they pay our client a lot of money. And by the way, we're willing to take a little less than the 2.23 million.
Mhm.
But so far they haven't shown much interest in getting real. So we'll see what happens. But I hope I get to try that case because Connecticut does
Right.
not have much case law in this,
Correct.
and we could use some.
Yes.
We could use some better case law, quite honestly, and it'll keep
Mhm.
the insurance companies honest,
Right.
right?
Yes.
So, that's the bigger picture. That's what we really like to do. Obviously, the primary objective always is the client,
Right.
doing what's best for the client.
Yes.
But, fortunately, in this case, I have a client that says,
Yeah.
"Just go for it.
Yes.
We trust you."
Yes.
And I trust this client. Like, the
Mhm.
jury ate her up,
Yes.
and they're gonna do it again.
Exactly.
So, anyway, so it was a lot of fun.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yes.
tell us a little bit about your perspective being a female lawyer.
Mm.
What was it like when you got out? Has it changed? Tell me
Mm.
what your thoughts are on that.
I definitely have seen it change, I think, for the better. When I first got out, gosh, I remember some of my early days practicing, and we were doing criminal law at the time. And I remember being in Part A in Hartford. And Part A, so the audience has an understanding, is the heavier the crimes, like felonies, murders, things like that. The Part B is lower level crimes, like misdemeanors, things like that. But Part A, being in judges' chambers and being the only female out of 10 males. And when I in chambers, all the attorneys gather, they discuss their cases, and, being the only female there and listening to these males, and some of the males just wanted to talk over me and or just kinda look at me like, "Well, what are you doing here? Where's Kevin?" Or, "Where's," another male? But that just inspired me to be that much more diligent about the cases, knowing the case law, knowing my case, and that so that when I opened up my mouth and I had an opportunity to speak, I got the credence that I felt like I deserved. So it made me a better advocate in a lot of ways. But like I said, I think a lot of that's changed now. I don't see myself as the only female in there. Seeing more female judges as well too than ever before. Really astute and knowledgeable and helpful judges too. And there's so many women caucuses and women forums now too that I just don't think were ever available before. See that with ATAA, we're a member of ATAA Trucking Academy. Um, and they have different women forums, and there's a lot of support there, I think, in the law. And a really good retreat that we went on in Ohio with Michael Laserman and a couple other people, where the women were in one room. It was I won't get too down to the weeds, but the women all stayed in one area of this temple that we stayed at, and the men were in another. And so the women had an opportunity to really talk about that, and we all talked about trying to build each other up and going to things like this to support each other. But I think it's come a long, long way. I think women are being recognized a lot more than they had over 20 years ago when I first started practicing.
Yeah, I'll certainly agree with that. There's far more, women that are judges now.
Mhm.
When I first started practicing, it was sorta rare,
Yes.
and just the top of my head, I can think of, like, so many,
Mhm.
in Hartford. Judge Morgan is now presiding
Mhm.
in Hartford. So, yeah, it's been a nice change.
Right.
And, yeah, to talk about a great experience we had with that, 4-day retreat that you talked about with Michael Laserman, who's an amazing
Mm.
human being, first of all, um, exceptional trial attorney, second of all, generous, kind-hearted human. I couldn't say enough about him. I mean, he puts on this 4-day beautiful teaching for a small number of lawyers. It's like between 15 and 20 usually.
Right.
And if you want, you can stay in the temple in
Mhm.
like bunk rooms, male bunk, female bunk rooms, separate rooms. And we're up at 6 o'clock meditating,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Doing the sitting meditation,
Yes.
zazen,
Mhm.
which is what the Zen meditation is called, and learning with Rinzin, who is the Roshi at that temple.
Right.
An amazing guy who's like, I don't even know what color his black belt is. It's the darkest black belt you could have in, I forget which of the martial arts. Jiu-jitsu, I think. But he's also a professional musician. And then Joshua Carton, who's got a background in the theater and one of the most unbelievably kind, generous, but tough, right?
Yes.
He can kinda get tough on you like the same way his probably acting teachers did
Right.
to bring the best out of him, right?
Yes.
But if there's any lawyers listening to this, if you're interested at becoming an amazing human being, which will just spill over into making you the best trial lawyer ever,
Mhm.
consider signing up for this. I hope they keep doing it. I mean,
Yes.
I know that they're into like their 10th year or
Oh,
11th, I think, coming up,
oh,
if I'm right. I've been twice, you've been once.
mhm.
I would definitely go again. It's just that good.
Yes.
But I wanna give other people's a chance, so I
Yeah.
won't sign up for several more years.
Right. Yeah, I think we said, maybe I'll go this year, kind of off each other, which makes sense. So that way there's somebody left back at the camp but yet we can still kinda keep our toe in the water there.
Yeah.
We'll see, yeah, depending upon availability. But you also said the nice thing is you saw a lot of younger lawyers there when you went this past year, which is promising. That's great because that's not something I think I would have thought of as a young lawyer. So,
It was awesome because the year that we went, we took young Sam Martin.
mm,
He was pretty much brand new, but he was like the youngest guy there
right,
from our office at that time.
by far.
And this time, I think there were like 4
Mhm,
lawyers, maybe 5, that were all within the first 1 or 3 years of their practice,
mhm,
and they found something like this and found teachers like this.
right.
These are like fearless young warriors, which I loved. They,
Yeah,
like I would have been intimidated
right.
at that age
Oh,
to go to something like that, to be like shoulder to shoulder with all these other people. But that's it gives me hope for our future generation. There's some real
mm,
fearless people coming up.
agreed.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yes.
So
Yes.
what else is going on in your life, Mo? You are Mo. I call her Mo, folks. It's Monique.
That's it.
But
No, Mo's good. Mo's good.
we obviously at our law firm we're really strong believers in mindfulness.
Mhm.
Matter of fact, this weekend we were at a gala, dog star rescue, a dog rescue that we're associated with, and I met a couple of lawyers. I don't know if you know this, but the band, 3 of the members in the band were lawyers.
Oh, no, I didn't
Yeah,
realize that.
and the guy who was playing
Yes.
keyboards came up to me to tell me that he was a lawyer and just kind of talk. And turns out he's working for 2 people that I went to law school with.
Oh, get out.
Yeah,
Wow.
and he knew all about the Bawaza
Yes.
case. He had looked it up.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to stay in touch. But
Uh,
that was a great event.
Yes, it
We,
really was. Yeah, congratulations to you and Leslie who were honored. What exactly was the, name of the honor? I don't wanna get it wrong. The
Something like community trailblazer or something like that.
okay. Yeah.
And like I said, I was just riding Leslie's coattails. She got me involved with this thing, and she's done all the work. I wrote a couple big checks, but I also helped start a golf tournament, which I've handed over to them that they've turned into like 2 or 3 times bigger than the
Yes.
one that I started. So
Right.
that's the cool thing. You have a good idea, you just get something started, even if you don't wanna see it through for 20 years.
Mm,
If you fertilize it and start it with some good roots, other
right.
people can take it over, right?
Exactly. And yeah, this was proof. This was the first event, the first gala that they've sponsored, if I'm not mistaken. This
I
was the first
I don't
first
know. I know they've had other
mm,
sort of events, like
uh,
gala events, or I don't know if
okay.
they've ever had a black tie affair like this one.
Right.
I'm not
This
sure,
yeah.
but it was fun. We had a lot of
It
fun.
was nice. They had dogs there too. The dogs were great. Ghost made an appearance as
Yeah,
well
yeah.
too.
But,
Yes.
back to my point asking you about mindfulness and stuff,
Mm,
there's 3 of the lawyers, and then so the one guy that came to talk to me, the keyboardist, brought me over to meet the other 2 young lawyers, and I immediately said, "Guys," I said, "Do you have a mindfulness practice?" It's the
mhm,
first thing I asked them.
mm,
Not like, "Which firm do you work for?" Or,
mhm,
"Have you got any big verdicts?" or anything like that,
mhm.
and they all looked at me like, "What's that?"
Right.
And I said, "Well, learn what it is,
Mhm,
and please try to find something,
mm,
because when you get a little bit older, this profession has a way
Mhm.
of getting a little bit intense
Yeah.
and a little bit stressful. And if you have a mindfulness practice, you can weather the storm and make it through, hopefully without any, major hiccups,
Yes.
mental health hiccups.
Right, right.
So anyway, so that was good. But that's my first lesson to any young lawyer that I meet is
Yeah,
like, what are you doing for your mindfulness practice? Do
exactly.
you meditate? Do you do yoga? Do you do Tai Chi? Do you have a spiritual practice? Do you take walks in the woods regularly? Like anything. I don't care what it is or
Right.
just something,
Yes,
right?
right.
So, but anyway, you've been doing something.
Yes, yes, and I have to say that's in large part because of you, Kevin. It's something you've talked about for years and years, and took me a little bit to embrace it, but now that I have, I'm all in. So every morning I get up, after I get my daughter off to school, try to spend at least 15 minutes, half hour preferably, meditating. And to your point, it can be anything. I prefer to go into a separate room where it's just quiet, no distractions, no dog, no any other outside sources, and it can just be praying, it can be focusing on what I'm gonna do. I try not to bring work or any, like I said, outside distractions, but just something that'll bring me peace. I have an app even on my phone that will talk through it, or another app that will play sounds. Try to do that just for a half hour, like I said, just to kind of clear my head for the day. And then it's amazing once you're done just how open your mind is, and you think of new ideas for this, whether it's a case or whether it's something I need to do for home or whatever else in my life. But it just really just clears your head and gets you kind of focused and prepared for the day. Doesn't always happen. It's not a perfect system, but as much as you can try and do it. Going outside too, and that's something you just touched on, walking the woods. Going outside just barefoot, stepping in the grass or feeling the earth beneath your feet is something that, and not that can even be a shorter period of time, but something that kind of connects you to nature and to the earth. I'll try to do that, especially now that the weather's getting a little bit warmer. We have a beautiful park across the street, so if I can't get to it in the morning, going outside. No phones, no distractions, just going outside, smelling the air and walking in the park and taking advantage of that as well too. And then also starting with yoga. I started that a few years back. Strengthening, stretching. Found a really good instructor that I like. She had a practice that was open in Vernon. She since closed and now kind of does it more at home. But it's that's been really, really helpful too. So you're getting some exercise, which is important, especially the older you get, but also kind of clearing your head as well too. And there's some mindfulness aspect to that as well too. So
Cool.
that's in part and parcel. I'm casual today because I did that this morning. So, um,
Well, we'll have you on again, and you can wear the amazing outfits that you typically show up to the office in. So, to all the viewers out there, you have that to look forward to. But I just want to mention one thing about yoga. You do like a flow yoga, right?
right. Yes. So just different poses, positions, things like that. Yes.
But moving sort of rapidly into one, flowing into the next posture.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So that's not for me,
Right. Yes.
but I prefer to be in a pose for a long time. So the type of practice I do is called hatha yoga.
Mm,
And occasionally I'll do yin yoga, which is even a slower
mm,
hold the pose for 5 minutes.
mm.
Um, but that doesn't mean that yours is bad
Right.
or mine's good or doesn't.
Mm.
To each his own.
Right.
And there's so many different forms of yoga. And I literally think that people don't understand
Mhm.
how beneficial yoga is.
Correct.
They think for some reason that they have to be a string bean even to start.
Mhm.
And if they happen to be a corpulent person,
Mhm.
an inflexible, muscle tight person, or whatever, they don't have the right body shape in their mind, they won't even start it.
Right.
That is absolutely the wrong
Mhm.
take on yoga. Yoga is for every single body,
Mhm.
and probably the thin, flexible person can benefit just as much as a tight person.
Correct.
Just because you're flexible, well, so what? Yoga is really about the mindfulness, connecting your breath
Mhm.
to the postures,
Mhm.
feeling what it feels like to be in your body. Like when we were kids, we used to sit around and like, hey, listen to your heartbeat and do stuff like that.
Mhm.
We get older, we totally forget that there's even like anything going on.
Right.
You just like trying to slog through your day, right?
Yes.
So I can't say enough about yoga. From the time I was around 38 or so, I started it, and getting out of my car when I was 40, I was, like, crooked for the first
Mm,
15 steps, and now at 60, I'm not
right.
because of yoga. So it is awesome. It'll keep you young. It'll
Mm,
keep you if you fall and you get older,
mhm,
you have the strength to get up.
right.
You're not gonna sit there for days and hope that someone comes and finds you.
Keeps you barrel.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. And just the mind and connecting the mind and the breath
Mhm,
is huge because we have to recycle everything that's between our ears.
mm,
You said like you're I forget what words you use, like when you're meditating.
mm.
It kind of opens space, right, for
Yes.
new ideas and fresh things to come.
Right, right.
We have to do that. We have to do that with our emotions too,
Correct.
right? People
Right.
hold on to their emotions. They're
Yeah.
angry. They're uptight.
Right.
We have to recycle our emotions. They're not meant to be there forever.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
meant to be digested and let go so the next one can come in. If you're holding on to an emotion, you're basically like putting a shield around your whole body and you're not letting the next thing in.
Mhm. Right.
We should be an open conduit and it should be able to flow in constantly.
Yes.
So that's kind of what we're trying to do with our mindfulness practices.
Right. Right.
And obviously, it makes us more available to be with our clients
Yes.
and to feel their pain,
Right.
to connect with them,
Right.
and especially to connect with the jury.
Yes.
And we can sort of feel what they're feeling,
Right.
right? So I can't say enough. And I think more and more lawyers are finding this.
Yes. Yeah.
I think more people in the medical profession. So hopefully your
Mm.
daughter will,
Right.
because I think that profession is sorely in need
Yeah.
of some major mindfulness practice.
Absolutely.
They are hurting in
Yes.
a big way.
Right.
I
Hope
think lawyers used to have the sort of a higher rung on like who has the profession with the most suicides.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure the medical field takes the cake right now.
Right.
And think about that. Do you really want a doctor in those 2 years before he decides to commit suicide when he's freaking out? Do you really want that person to be your doctor,
Right.
making decisions about your life?
Yeah.
Probably not.
No.
So I hope the medical profession wakes up in this corporatization that's taken hold of doctors where they have less and less autonomy, that they actually spend a lot of their money
Mhm.
getting these guys to get grounded and to get back to being like caregivers rather than robots. Because if not, they're going to go bye-bye anyway because AI is going to take over.
Mm.
People
True.
are not going to need doctors if they're not going to be compassionate, they're not going to listen, and they're not going to add something
Right.
above what an AI could do,
Exactly.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
Because
That's true.
the 3 or 4 minutes that you get with them right now is not cutting it.
No.
I mean, how long do we
Yes.
sit? If we
Yes.
meet a new client, how
Yes.
how much time do we give them?
Oh gosh, at least an hour. If not, I mean, could be upwards 2 hours. Yeah, depending upon.
Right, depending
Yes.
on, like, how
Yeah.
much there is
Right.
or how much they can take at the time.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
We do a lot of sexual exploitation cases, and sometimes we don't really wanna
Mhm.
dig too deep in the beginning.
Right.
We wanna be able to get to know our client, have them trust us more, right? So we
Exactly.
kinda gauge that, but
Yeah.
it's not like 10 minutes.
No.
And there's not many doctors, unless you go to a naturopath or you go to some of these holistic practitioners, that will spend that much time with you.
Right.
They
Right.
just it's not built into their system. Their system is about check the box, fill out the form, get the insurance money. And
Exactly.
it's not helping us, not helping our health in our country.
No. No.
But
So
anyway,
true.
what else is there going on that you'd like to talk about, either in the law or outside of
Yes.
law that you like wisdom that you've gained throughout the years?
One thing you brought up the mindfulness practice, and I really hope that law schools, medical schools start developing that because that would have helped me. I think it will help so many future generations too. And throughout your professional career, I mean, unfortunately I went through a divorce. I went through losing both of my parents within a short period of time, and without having that mindfulness practice and being able to meditate and focus on just my mental health and healing, I wouldn't have gotten through it the way that I did. It Things like that can break a person. And so if you don't have that resource to go to, I just implore upon people to try and find it. And there's fortu- technology sometimes has its downs, but one of the advantages, there are so many apps and there are so many resources available through just even your phone or online to help you. But talk to somebody too. It's not hard just to even find a friend, go take a walk, and take your dog out, go outside yourself, enjoy, just breathe that fresh air. So I think things like that I will be just key for whatever career path that you take.
Yeah, 100%. So before COVID, we started remember before COVID, we were just having lawyers from the community, just I
Eh,
forget, one night a week. We said, "Hey, let's just get together. We'll
yes,
hang out, and just talk." And we
right.
didn't really talk about law. We talked about, like,
Mhm,
human issues and
mhm,
problems and things like that.
mhm.
And then COVID came and put
Right.
the kibosh on that when we just got it started.
Mhm.
We should we will revisit that.
Yes.
I think that was important because a lot of the bar associations or local membership organizations,
Mhm.
they're not getting together like that to socialize.
Right. That's
They're
true.
just not. They have,
Right.
a couple of meetings here and there,
Mhm.
maybe a golf outing once a year,
Yes. Yeah.
but that's about it.
Right. I was just talking about that with my girlfriends, as a matter of fact. Last night we were out to dinner and saying how we need more community-based things, and we are doing some of that too, like you do Tuesday nights with the Tai Chi in the park, and encouraging people, anybody to come out, clients, people in the community, whoever, come out, we'll go out in the park, do that, and then you're also having the food truck or the coffee truck rather, that's coming next month, and getting people together for that. So I think hopefully doing more of those things will also encourage people to
Yeah,
kind of get
and
together.
right, and we're working on, a bigger event in September. We don't have a date yet, but hopefully soon we will. But our idea is to sort of model the
Mm.
monks' peace walk.
Oh,
For those out there that haven't heard of this, it was a couple of months ago now, I think. There was, a group of monks from their temple in somewhere in Texas
right.
that walked all the way to Washington, D.C. Along the way, I think on the first day they started, one of the monks got hit by a car, lost a leg,
Right. Right.
but they, ended up picking up this stray dog,
Yeah.
Loca, who marched with them the whole time, he became famous.
Right.
And, anyway, we wanna sorta emulate what they did with this walk in September and have a peace walk where people will just do laps in silence around the park.
Mhm.
And I haven't decided what else we might do to promote it or to have some fun along with it, but
Mm.
we'll do something. Maybe there'll be a food truck or
Mm.
something afterwards to celebrate, but we'll definitely do some meditation, like a big group meditation, and maybe a little yoga
Mm.
out in the park. It's a beautiful park.
Yes, it really is.
Yeah,
Yes.
so but
Glad to take advantage of
we
it.
we kind of are on the same page on that. Everybody needs it,
Yes.
not just if you're in a profession. Bottom line is, like, we're living this one life that we
Mhm.
have. I
Mhm.
mean, hopefully, we get to come back if we want and do it all over again if you believe in that. But so many people are stuck
Mhm.
because they're kinda still, like, in the instruction level of the game.
Mhm.
They're afraid to move on,
Mhm.
and the things that we're talking about will get you out of the instruction level of the game and into the next level. It's just awareness. It's
Yes.
just consciousness
Yeah.
because this is a mind-made matrix.
Mm.
Literally, whatever you believe in with faith will be true. We are all manifestors. We all have the ability to create,
Mhm.
and more of us wake up to that,
Mm.
we'll have heaven on earth.
Yeah.
It won't be this
Mm.
strife and class warfare and all this ideology. People fighting and dying over their ideas.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know.
Crazy.
Right. Yeah.
When are we gonna get, like, above that?
Right.
So, it's coming. As
Yes.
long as we be here now
Yes.
and have hope.
Yes. Exactly. Oh my God. Oh,
Yeah, spin it around,
yeah.
Mel.
Sorry.
Spin it
Yes.
around. Let's go. Let's
Here we go.
do something for
Yes,
the camera.
on both sides. Yes.
Nice job. Nice job.
Yes.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you, Monique.
Thank
It
you
was
for having
wonderful
me.
to have you here.
Yes, thank you very much. My pleasure. Appreciate
Appreciate
it.
everything. The
Yes.
20,
Yes.
100, 500 years,
Yes.
whatever it's been. It's been a
Yeah.
long, good time.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome.
Cheers to many more.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Brought to you by Ghost the Dog Productions. Barking from the rooftops, baby. Ooh.
The Elven Star podcast is underwritten by Fairy Law.